Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, Koki Creative. Today we are doing a speed build. I built this for the Blooming in Spring collab, and this collab revolves around spring, so think of spring colors, bees, flowers. Also, we're supposed to stick with a certain kind of style, whether it be like American suburban homes, cottages, farms, anything that could have spring significance. Since we could build on any lot, I decided to go into the New World Sand Sequoia. It came with the Growing Together pack and build in there. I have yet to actually explore all of the world. And when I'm building this was actually the first time that I even went into this new world. I had to update my tool mod since there were some issues and I couldn't access the world. So I was really excited to build on this lot. It's one that's like right against this body of water, so it has this amazing view. Usually roofs don't give me a hard time, but this one did. I kept changing the exterior, moving the upstairs a little bit around, the downstairs, just because I wanted it to look a certain way, and it wasn't cooperating. But that's the great thing about when you are putting a roof on right in the beginning, you can change the exterior around. That's why I always do it right after I'm done building the walls. I just tackle the roof right away. I also gave it a couple balconies because this lot is not very big. It's like a 30 by 20 if I'm not mistaken, and this house is pretty large. It takes up most of the space. I don't usually use a reference photo when building, and sometimes when I just like need some ideas, I'll go to Pinterest and look up a certain style and take bits and pieces from that I really like and then make a house out of it. But for this one, ever since the Growing Together pack came out, I've been building so many suburban homes, and you'd think I'd be done with building suburban homes by now, but I said, oh no, one more. To get some ideas, I decided to do something a little bit different. I went to this app that I really like using. It's an AI app where you can just type in any prompt and it will create a photo. And I typed in springtime suburban home, and this is what popped up. Although I really did like the brown exterior, I decided to do something a little bit different, a little bit more springtime. You'll see that coming up. And the shape is a little different too, but that's what I took most inspiration from. It kind of has this ranch style, but there's a second story. I wouldn't mind actually building this house someday. I really do like the brown exterior, so maybe I'll try to build this one someday. I'll try to do it as exact as possible. But one thing I definitely want to try again is another AI build. I want to see if I can make like a little mini video series of trying to do these AI inspired builds. Sometimes AI will make the houses look very strange, and that's just part of the fun, especially since when you're building and you do want to look at a reference photo, sometimes you end up using the same reference photo as someone else, so your builds end up looking very similar to other people's. Even though you're not copying their build, you might have used the same reference photo, so they look similar. But if I use this AI idea, it'll be something that no one's ever seen before. It doesn't even exist. It just magically appeared. Not magically, well, there's some sort of algorithm. I'm pretending I know exactly how AI works. I get the gist, okay? Anyway, so here I do a little shutter trick that I've done many times before. You create a wall, and then you put these curtains down and then delete the wall. It kind of gives it a nice 3D shape. For the shingles, I went with the ones that come with, I think, Eco Lifestyle. I like the way they are shaped, kind of reminds me of fish scales. And then I put the trim as white. So completely off topic here, but one of my problems is that I keep signing up for different builders collabs, and the one problem I have is that I'm slightly disorganized. I have everything pretty much written on notepads or different little spots throughout the house. I don't really have one consolidated list of things that I need to do. So I was late with this build. I tried to get it in on time, but I just had completely forgotten that I was in this collab and people were posting photos of it. And it was looking so cute, and I'm like, oh, what collab is this? I swear I'm a part of a spring collab. And then I went to Discord and realized that I had passed the due date and people were posting, and yes, I was a part of that spring collab. So I immediately got my computer and I built a park, and I did not I was like, I'm not really in the mood and I don't really know what I'm going to be building for this, so let me build something completely different. It's a way that I procrastinate. I'm really good at that. So yeah, I built a park, and then when I was done with that, the next day I said, okay, now I'm ready to do this build I'm already a couple days late on. So I figured another day wouldn't hurt. And this build only took me about 1 or 2 days to complete, which I'm glad I was able to get it done so fast. A build this size would usually take me around 8 hours, and I did about 6 to 8. I was just really hoping to get it done as soon as possible because I was kind of feeling bad about not getting it done sooner. Currently, I have a handful of requests and collab builds that I need to work on. I've just been putting off until I'm kind of in the mood to build them. One of which is a mermaid grotto, only using island living. And I would have loved to be able to also use Snowy Escape because I like the little hot springs, but that's totally fine. I'm building it in Sulani, and I think on a 50 by 50 lot. I'm trying to make it look like a little village too. It's a kind of big build, and I want to do a lot with the landscaping there. I'm just not really in the mood to do that right now. And I personally feel like my best builds are the one I'm in the mood to build, or that I'm in the right mindset. It's just really hard to think of creative ideas when you're kind of just like, I'd rather be doing almost anything else except for this right now. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love building. Time flies by when I'm doing it. It makes me feel very creative and I get in the zone. But there's just a certain point that I reach when I'm building for so many hours, and it's just like, okay, I'm really just not in the mood for this anymore. And if you can hear crunching in the background, yes, that is Coconut, little Cokie eating her food. So fun fact, Kokie's full name is Coconut, and yes, Cokie as in Cokie Creative. My account is named after her because she is my muse, she is my baby, she is my angel. I absolutely adore her. We adopted her about 9 years ago. She was a stray in the Caribbean, and they call them coconut retrievers. That's kind of where we came up with the name. She also has this nice brown fur, just like a coconut. We thought we were going to call her Coco for short because that makes sense. Coconut, Coco. But it just doesn't fit her. The more we got to know her and her personality started to come out when she started to warm up to us, it just was clear that she was a little Cokie. And Cokie's actually a beach on the island that she's from, so it all kind of made sense. Now bringing my attention back to the build, I picked a 30 by 20 lot on purpose because I didn't want to spend a ton of time on landscaping. I can get totally lost in landscaping and spend 2 hours on just a normal size house just because I want the landscaping to be exceptional. But I didn't do much here. I just used a lot of flowers, something to make the build feel very alive, especially since this is a springtime build. So I chose pink for the flowers, and I did use the terrain tool in one spot for the driveway because I wanted to be a little bit more realistic. The car needs to be able to get up to that makeshift garage. I have an unofficial process of how I like to build, especially if I'm doing a speed build, because it just makes editing a lot easier. I first start with the front of the house, and then I do the floor plan. Usually I cut that out of my speed builds, but I kind of kept most of it in for this one. I've been editing a lot less of my speed builds lately just because I need to get them done. Anyway, then I moved to the backyard, and then I finished the sides of the house. So here we're working on the back deck. Pretty much all my houses have some sort of backyard. I like to have at least 2 doors a sim can enter or exit a house. And here I'm using the terrain paint to create a little garden area for the sims that live here. One of them is a florist, and the other has a full-time job and then sells little crafts on the side. The garden in the backyard is primarily a flower garden. I think I put a little bit of fruit in there. I'm not 100% sure, but I did stock it up. I also added a flower arrangement station because I figured that's what they do. Spring has to be a big time for florists, at least it is in this household. And even though it isn't a huge place to pot plants or anything, you can still graft them and not have to use as many pots. I personally really like how the gardening works in The Sims 4. I enjoy it. I like evolving plants. I like fertilizing them and making them very profitable too. I have this mod that's like the hunger bonus mod, something like that. So when you eat a fruit or vegetable, it'll make your hunger go up just a little bit more than it would if you didn't have the mod. It's really great for toddlers too because I just fill their pockets with fresh fruits and vegetables. I never feed them. They pretty much take care of themselves in my house. Unless if I have like a family that I really want to do like family gameplay, I will do a lot more with toddlers. But if I'm just like trying to get through the game, I mean, I'm probably not the best sim parent out there. So here in the side yard, I make this like cute little seating area surrounded by pink flower bushes, and I just love this umbrella seat. It's base game. I use that umbrella seat pretty much in all of my builds, especially since it's base game, and it comes in a whole bunch of different color swatches, so you can really mix and match, and it fits in with almost everything. I also put this little kids play area. I wanted there to be something for all ages outside, even though I've said this like 50 times already. It's not a big lot. Still wanted there to be something to do. Now we're moving inside. This is the kitchen, and I really like how it turned out. For the floor, I used Vampires and Get Famous flooring, made it sort of a checkered pattern. Now in the gallery, I might have changed the solid blue Get Famous flooring to a different solid blue, because before I uploaded this, I wanted to reduce the amount of packs in this build so it'd be more accessible to players. So if you notice it's slightly different, that is why. But I still think it looks good. Whatever I did switch it with, which like I can't remember at this point, I built this a couple of weeks ago, it looks very, very similar. And if I didn't say anything, you probably wouldn't even notice. This kitchen is fairly big too, and I like the layout. I didn't have a formal dining room in this house. I have this like kitchen dining room, and I really like that. They don't need a formal dining room. They needed more space for their family. And not that my house looked anything like this while growing up, but I did have a similar setup, as in we didn't have like a formal dining area. It was more like all open, and it's where the linoleum ended and the carpet began. So picture 90s house, early 2000s house, and you got it. So for the kitchen also, I wanted blue to be the main color. I wanted to stick with that blue color scheme throughout this house, especially in the communal areas. I used the fridge, stove, and wallpaper from the new Growing Together pack, and I absolutely love this tile. The herringbone pattern and all of the swatches is going to make it so easy to use in so many of my builds. I know I'm going to be using it all the time, so I'm sorry if you get sick and tired of it, but I love it. Then I create this little seating area. This is just something that I needed to fill this little space in. There were windows, so I didn't want to put cabinets. I don't like putting objects in front of windows, unless if it's like a plant or a chair. I'm just kind of picky about what I like to place in front of windows. For example, if I have a kitchen and I really want to put counters on a wall, but there's a window there, I'll either choose a different window, different counters, or just take away the window altogether, because I just don't like things in front of the windows. It just looks so bad from the outside. And plus, I'm not even sure if in real houses they would ever do something like that. Here I'm moving on to more of the common area, and this little stair spot, as you see me kind of fiddling around with that was so frustrating to me because I wanted the stairs to be there. That was the best place for a landing upstairs. I just couldn't figure out how to put the walls around it, because it just didn't make sense to have just a set of stairs right smack dab in the middle of the room. So I did try to turn it into like this little hallway. I do play around with it more and it turns into something, so that's good. And here's one of my favorite spots in the house. It's this little piano nook. I love how it turned out. I was just going to use a plain swatch of this piano, and I'm super excited about an upright piano, by the way, because it's really hard to fit in those giant, beautiful pianos. So I found this swatch and I just fell in love with it. With the curtains, that teal minty swatch really matched well with the piano, but I wasn't sure if it clashed with the blue walls or if it all kind of went together, because the piano is this light baby blue and minty teal with the pink flowers. So I just went with it. I said, heck, I'm gonna take a risk, because otherwise I'd probably just do plain white curtains that I use all the time, and I really was in the mood to do something a little bit different. Now here, moving on to the living room, and this living room is so much smaller than I wish it could be. This is supposed to be a family of like 5, and I do have enough seats technically, but in a perfect world, I would have had like a really cool entertainment area. And yeah, sure, I could have made a basement and made a lot of space for that. Sometimes I do make basements to make like a really cool entertainment area with a giant TV and video games and all that great stuff. But like I said before, I didn't want to spend more time on this build than I already was going to. So I figured this little space was going to do. I ended up making it like a sunken in living room, even though the sunken in is only by 1 notch. Outside, I put a little basketball court, and that is not functional, though I have not checked it. I can almost guarantee it's not functional because I put it in a flower bed over a debug car. So I'm sorry if you try to play basketball. I purely did that for aesthetics. This house also has a dog. So I made a family for this house and I gave them a golden retriever dog. I had a golden retriever growing up. Her name was Libby and I loved her dearly. So I was inspired by my own Libbers to give them a golden retriever. Here I'm putting the new chairs that come with the Growing Together pack next to the piano space so people can sit and listen to someone play piano. And now I'm finishing up all these little hallway spaces. And oh my gosh, I don't know about you. I just don't like decorating hallways. I don't feel like there is enough plants in the world or just decorative items. I just feel like I do the same thing in the corners all the time. So I try to do different things, but I don't really know if it comes off that way because have I used that one plant in a corner 100 times? Yes. And am I going to keep using it in the corner 100 times? Absolutely yes. Here I'm in the bathroom and I started out giving it a yellow color palette, but it was just so different from the rest of the house that I had to change it to blue. I would have loved to keep the yellow, and if I create another house sometime, maybe I will have a very colorful house with all different colors, but sometimes when I build, I would say a majority of the time, I tend to stick with a color scheme and do that throughout the entire house, minus bedrooms. Bedrooms are the exception. So since this was a bathroom, I just couldn't really justify having a yellow color scheme, even though I think it would have still been really cute. Personally, I think I just really wanted to use those yellow swatches. I'm a yellow fan. I know not a lot of people like the color yellow, but I think it's such a pretty color. It's like the color of happiness and flowers in springtime. So I personally just really like it. Now here I'm back in the backyard doing a little bit more landscaping. So I like to carve out paths, and first I just do it a really weird way, and I'm like, I don't really know why I do this, but I carve out the path first, and then I end up making rocks around the edge of the path, and then I'll put flowers in where the grass is, okay? You follow me here? So once I do that, I'll end up filling in that grassy bush area with dirt anyway. So I could just fill in the whole area that I want with dirt and then create the path after. But I think I just find it a little bit easier to create the path and then fill in with terrain paint later. I'm still learning and maybe there is a more efficient process, but so far I can't complain. I built this faster than expected. Also, I use this like pink it's not a willow tree. It's like a cherry tree, like cherry blossom kind of, but it kind of looks like a willow tree. Anyway, they're all over Willow Creek, and I found it in base game debug. So if you want that tree, you can definitely find it. So in this grill area, I added a castle dollhouse because those are always really hard to fit inside of houses. I sized it down by either 1 or 2, and did you know they are still functional if you do size them down? I often do that because I just find that the regular sized dollhouses are just really hard to fit in homes, unless if I build a very gigantic home and the bedrooms are so monstrous that I need something to fill up the space in, but that rarely ever happens to me. I can't remember. I probably have built like 3-4 houses on 64 by 64 lots, and I end up doing mostly landscaping with those and don't even make them giant mansions. I've built only a handful of mansions, but I do have some mansions in the works. So one of these days, I will probably be able to fit a full-size dollhouse inside of a home. That's very exciting. So this is a garden area, and I added some seed packets. I did use the tool mod to create those stacked potted plants. I like to use that trick every so often because I think it looks adorable and it's super easy to do and it doesn't take a lot of time. And then I just do some more clutter anyway. I really like these odd objects that I used here, that like storage shelf. Pretty sure that's from either Eco Lifestyle or something else that's similar to that pack, but I'm pretty sure it's Eco Lifestyle. And there is all these like open spaces in there, and I don't like the way it looks when I put down a shelf and I don't put anything on that shelf. So I did end up putting a couple of things, and now we're moving on to this little balcony area. I didn't want to put too much on there because it's only a 2x3 or 2x4 space, so I just put some chairs, someplace where your Sims can sit up there and just admire the beautiful view, or sit there mindlessly staring out into the abyss, because they are just video game people that can't really appreciate natural beauty, but I like to pretend that they have thoughts and feelings going on behind those blank eyes. Now we're here on the front porch. I add plants, and oh no, this is still the backyard. That's what happens when you build and edit a video, wait a couple weeks before doing the voiceover. You just kind of forget what the house looks like. But yeah, that was the backyard. Sorry about that. Now we're back inside doing some of the other spaces, and I completely built this out of order of how I like to do things. I like to finish off a space and then move on to the next, but I bounced around a lot with this, and personally, I just build a lot faster when I do bounce around from room to room. I like to think of the house as an entire project, and when I'm scrolling through the catalog, I might find an object that will work really well in another room, even though I'm working on a different section. Either I'll put it in my inventory or just drop it off in that room. I do usually do that no matter what, even if I build room by room. I just edit that out of my speed build when I go drop something off. But in this case, I didn't even care. I just wanted to go with the flow. See, we're back in the kitchen now, and we started the interior with the kitchen. One thing about kitchens, though, is I like to first start off with how the floor plan looks of the kitchen, where the cabinets are, the fridge, and the table, all of that wonderful stuff. And then it gives me some time to think as I work on the other parts of the build, what I want the kitchen to look like, the clutter, etc. Because kitchen clutter is just so annoying to me. And now we're here in the garage. I built this a little bit before that basement kit came out, and I'm super bummed because I would have loved to use some of that basement items in this garage. Basement / garage kind of have like the same vibe, and I did use some new kit items in here as well. Some of the things I switched out before I uploaded to the gallery because I didn't want there to be as many packs. And now we're in the bathroom, and I have to use the red shelf here to place those things on the counter because I made this before that new update came out, and I still haven't even built after that update came out. I'm so excited to be able to just place things on surfaces, backs of toilets, sinks, other slots. I'm just really excited about that. I personally like the red shelf and all, but if I don't have to use it, I'm very happy. Now this is like the entry, so right when you walk in, it's extremely narrow, but I did put a little counter here for you to throw your keys on. When I say things like that, I'm just talking about the illusion of a house. I play, like, I know what Sims can and can't do. I know Sims don't walk through the door and throw their keys on the counter. They do anything but, like, they will immediately go do some like push-ups and then pass out and pee themselves. But I like to give the illusion that your Sims have their life put together. And honestly, same though. I like to give the illusion that I have my life put together, but you know, I'm just living day by day right now. Here's the living room again. We're back here, and I use some of that paranormal wallpaper, and I just love that wallpaper. I actually actively have to try not to use that wallpaper. And now we are in the craft room. This room is the only pink room in the house, and you're probably like, pink? This is a yellow and blue. It turns pink eventually. I'm like, as much as I like blue and I want to keep the blue theme throughout the entire house, I just really felt like this room had to be pink. I used some items from Nifty Knitting because I imagine that the Sims like to knit and that's what they like to sell. And I'm so sorry, my dog is drinking water right now and she's right next to me, and she is the loudest drinker in the world. So I apologize about that, but I really don't want to re-record what I'm saying. This voiceover is already 31 minutes and it's taken me 3 days to do. And we're almost done. So we're finishing up with this little office. I want it to also be a place where if your Sim has a job that they need to stream online or something like that, they can do it in this room. I use this really cute couch from My First Pet, and I know not a lot of people like that pack. Not a lot of people own that little stuff pack, but I just could not get myself to switch out that with a different couch. I just really liked the way that couch looked in there, and even though I was trying to reduce the number of packs, that was something that I was not going to budge on. Same with the kitchen and the vampires floor. I didn't use the vampires pack throughout any other part of this build, but I just could not get myself to switch it out with something else because I just really liked the way that turned out. Now we're here in the nursery. Nursery is pink, just like the craft room. And those are right next to each other. This is the only bedroom that's downstairs, and I don't know how realistic this is, but I do know some houses do have a bedroom downstairs and the majority of the bedrooms like upstairs or something. Usually it's the parents' bedroom that's downstairs and then the kids will have the entire upstairs, but I thought a nursery kind of fit the criteria of a different type of bedroom. Nurseries tend to be a little bit smaller than the rest of the house, or than the rest of the bedrooms, but this one is about the same size. I used some of these wall pieces from the new bathroom clutter kit. And I say new, it came out a couple months ago, but it still feels new to me. I just thought they looked adorable in this house, and they have those little pops of blue that match with the exterior, so I wanted to draw it all together. And then I used this yellow rug. Why? I don't know. I was kind of in the mood to do a different color, and I didn't end up doing that yellow bathroom, so I thought I'd bring just a little bit of yellow into the nursery. Now we're here by the landing. Oh my gosh. I've said it 1,000 times before. I just hate decorating these places. Sometimes I just do it to get it out of the way. Usually, I shouldn't say usually. About 50% of the time, I save these areas for the end of my build, but then sometimes I just do it to get out of the way. And the stupid thing is, they don't even take long to build. Like a kitchen or a bedroom is going to take me 10 times longer than any little landing or hallway ever would. But I just don't really like the way they end up looking. And they look fine and all, but like I have a hallway in my apartment. It has nothing. It doesn't even have paintings yet. Like, cause I don't even know what to do with them. I mean, I have an idea, but I just don't want to have to use the same paintings every single time. And even though this is not a limited pack build per se, I just didn't want to have to use all of the packs. And in my opinion, the game could have at least 10 times more art than it already has. And while there is no CC gallery art, and I absolutely love that, and I use it all the time, I don't always want to download something and then place it. And then I have to credit them. Not that I think that's a burden, but I just want to make sure I do it properly to give the people that made the no CC art their credit. Okay, done with that rant. We are in the teens' bedrooms. There is a boy teen and a girl teen that I made in this family, but these easily could be for any gender because we all know gender is a societal construct, so have your Sims do whatever they want. I gave both rooms nice desks with streaming computers, and here for this teen's room, they are very into sports. They're a little bit dirty, so for their bedside table, I put some more or less realistic clutter, like a dirty mug and a clock and also a water bottle. And then they're kind of into sports, so I added ribbons and then a football poster and then this llama rug. I also wanted to add just a place to sit because in most of my bedrooms, I do add like a chair or a couch or something like that. Now, this room is kind of a weird shape. Both of the teen rooms are a weird shape because I wanted to give them a Jack and Jill bathroom. The only problem was there wasn't enough space in the bedrooms to put another door leading to this bathroom. So instead there's like little 2x2 hallway for those Sims to leave their bedroom and then enter the bathroom. So that is the teen's bathroom. Now this is a little separate entry area for this teen's room. I put a little bit of fun teen-like clutter here. Baby Yoda, Yarny, football, skateboard, that kind of stuff. And I usually always will put a mirror in people's rooms because you can change their looks, their outfits with just a mirror. I rarely ever use a dresser. Unlike previous Sims games, you would have to go to a mirror to change your like face looks and then go to a dresser to change your clothes. But in Sims 4, you can just go to a mirror and do all in one, which I didn't really like at first because I like the fact that you needed a dresser, but ultimately it has sped up getting my Sims all customized and all that stuff. One of my methods or how I used to play was I would age up my sim and immediately would click the dresser, click the mirror to make sure they looked fine, because you know how when your sims age up, they look like a townie. They look like a mess. They got the stupidest thing on. They definitely have the eyeball ring. So I like to change their looks immediately. Now we're moving on to this bedroom, and I wanted to add a little bit of clutter here, a little bit of personality, and this sim collects cards. I personally, when I was a kid, collected Pokemon cards. I was really, really into that. So this sim likes to collect those cards. I have played a little bit with like collecting those packs and played around with those, but I haven't like collected them all. That's one of those things that I'm not sure if this is how you play, but I like to try to do everything possible in the game. That's one of those things I'm saving for collecting all the cards. And yeah, anyway, we're on another bathroom. I like to spend my time customizing each bathroom. Sometimes I'll copy and paste them and just use all the same, but this is the parents' ensuite, so I made it look a little bit different. I gave it a pink sink, and I never ever use this base game sink because I think it's kind of ugly, but for this house, I kind of like that little hint of pink in that sink. It matches with the robe on the door. And the funny thing is the parents' bedroom is not pink at all. It's gray and blue. I edited out a lot of this because the parents' bedroom gave me such a headache. I kept changing around the swatches. What did I want? Originally, this accent wall that has the paranormal stuff wallpaper had a very blue swatch of the same wallpaper, and I tried to make it work with this bed, a bed that I haven't used before, so I definitely want to try to use it, but I wouldn't say it clashed, it just didn't really match. So I changed it to this, and I do like the way it turned out. It does feel like it belongs in this house, and I think this might be the last room that I do. It's one of the last. So it's whenever I'm on the last build, whenever I'm on the last room, I just try to go hard, just finish it. That's usually when I won't do many creative things. I'm just kind of ready to be done with it. Although I do like the way the dresser turned out because I put two dressers on top of each other. I think they're still both functional. Oh, and here I'm playtesting. I did include this part because I want to show you all a little bit of how I playtest. Now, this obviously isn't all of the playtesting that I did, but it is a lot of it. Well, anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Maybe give me a thumbs up or subscribe. But anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.